Welcome, friend. I'm so glad you're here. Settle down now, wherever you are. Let the covers grow heavy around you and let your eyes rest. Tonight we return once more to the world of the Willows, to the slow green river, and to a bright summer morning that is in no hurry at all. This is the story of Mr. Toad, told softly, told slowly, so that somewhere along the way, you may simply drift off. There is nothing you need to do, nothing you need to remember. Just breathe and listen and let the river carry you. It was a bright morning in the early part of summer. The river had returned to its gentle banks after the long rains of winter, and it moved once more at its own accustomed pace, unhurried, patient, deep. A warm sun leaned down over the meadows, and everything green and growing seemed to be rising quietly to meet it. The reeds, the rushes, the long grass along the towpath, all lifting softly into the light. Down by the water, the mole and the water rat had been up since dawn, busy with the small, pleasant tasks that come with the opening of the boating season. There was paint to touch up, varnish to smooth along the old wood, paddles to mend, cushions to air in the sunshine. And there is a certain kind of happiness in such work. Slow work, familiar work, work done beside a friend, with the whole summer waiting ahead. By and by, they sat down to breakfast in their little parlor. The windows opened to the morning, the smell of toast in the air, and the river light moving softly on the ceiling. They were talking quietly of their plans for the day when a knock sounded at the door. The mole went to see who it was, and there came a small cry of surprise. Then the parlor door swung wide, and the mole announced with great importance, "Mr. Badger." Now this was a wonderful thing indeed, for the badger seldom paid calls on anyone. He was a creature of hedgerows at dusk, of deep tunnels and quiet ways. If you wanted the badger, you generally had to find him yourself, slipping along the edge of a field in the early morning, or at home, far away, in the middle of the wildwood. But here he was, standing in the doorway in the summer sunshine. The badger stepped heavily into the room and looked at the two animals for a long, thoughtful moment. "The hour has come," he said at last, in his deep, slow voice. "What hour?" asked the rat, glancing at the clock upon the mantelpiece. "Toad's hour," said the badger simply. "The hour of Toad. I said I would take him in hand as soon as the winter was well over, and today I am going to take him in hand. For you may remember, friend, that Toad of Toad Hall had one great weakness. He had fallen in love with motor cars, with their shine and their speed and their splendid noise, and one by one they had carried him into all manner of trouble. His friends had watched and waited, and now it seemed the waiting was over. This very morning," the badger went on, settling into an armchair, "another new and exceptionally powerful motor car will arrive at Toad Hall. At this very moment, perhaps, Toad is dressing himself in those remarkable driving clothes he loves so well. We must go to him before it is too late. The work of rescue must begin." And so the three of them set off up the road together, the badger leading the way, walking in single file in the proper and sensible manner of animals. The morning lay warm and quiet all around them. Hedges drowsed in the sun. Bees moved slowly among the clover, and far behind them, the river went on, murmuring to itself, as it always had, as it always would. In time, they reached the carriage drive of Toad Hall, and there, just as the badger had said, stood a shining new motor car, large and gleaming, painted a bright, glorious red. It stood quite still in front of the old stone house, glittering softly in the sunshine, and as they drew near the door, it opened, and out came Mr. Toad himself, goggles upon his forehead, a great overcoat down to his ankles, drawing on a pair of large, gauntleted gloves. "Hello! Come on, you fellows!" he cried cheerfully. "You're just in time to come with me for a jolly... jolly..." But his hearty words faltered and slowly fell away, for his friends stood silent before him, and their faces were kind, but very firm. And somewhere inside himself, Toad understood that the morning was not going to go the way he had planned. The Badger walked up the steps. "Take him inside," he said quietly. And while Toad was led protesting through his own front door, the Badger turned to the chauffeur who waited by the shining car. "I'm afraid you won't be wanted today," he said. "Mr. Toad has changed his mind. He will not require the car." And the man touched his cap, and the great red motor car rolled softly away down the drive and out of sight, and the sound of it faded and faded until only the summer quiet remained. Inside the hall, the Badger looked at Toad, not unkindly. "First of all," he said, "take off those ridiculous things." "Shan't," said Toad with great spirit. But spirit of that kind does not last long between old friends, and soon enough the splendid driving clothes were folded away, and what remained was simply Toad, a smaller, softer, rounder Toad, no longer the terror of the highway. He giggled a little, sheepishly, and looked from one friend to another, for he understood the situation perfectly well. "You knew it must come to this, sooner or later, Toad," said the Badger gently. "You've disregarded all our warnings. You've gone on spending your father's money, and your driving has become the talk of the whole district. Independence is all very well, but we animals never allow our friends to make fools of themselves beyond a certain limit. Now, you're a good fellow in many respects, and I don't want to be hard on you. Come with me into the smoking room, and we shall have a quiet talk, and we'll see whether you come out of that room the same Toad that you went in." And he took Toad kindly but firmly by the arm and led him into the smoking room and closed the door behind them. "That's no good," said the Rat, shaking his head. "Talking will never cure Toad. He'll say anything." And so the Mole and the Rat made themselves comfortable in deep armchairs and waited. Through the closed door there came the low, continuous murmur of the Badger's voice, rising and falling, like slow waves upon a shore. It was a peaceful sound, heard from a soft chair on a summer morning, and the two animals dozed a little as they waited, as perhaps you are dozing now. And presently, mixed in with the deep voice, there came now and then a long-drawn sob. For Toad was a soft-hearted fellow at bottom, and easily moved, for the time being, to any point of view. After 3/4 of an hour, the door opened, and the Badger came out, leading Toad by the paw. Toad looked limp and sorrowful, his cheeks damp with tears. "Sit down there, Toad," said the Badger kindly. "My friends, I am pleased to tell you that Toad has at last seen the error of his ways. He has promised to give up motor cars entirely and forever." "That is very good news," said the Mole gravely. "Very good news indeed," said the Rat, though he watched Toad carefully as he said it, for he thought he saw, just for a moment, something very like a twinkle in that animal's sorrowful eye. "There is only one thing more," said the Badger. "Toad, repeat now before your friends what you admitted to me in there. You are sorry for what you've done, and you see the folly of it all." There was a long, long pause. Toad looked this way and that, while the others waited in grave silence, and at last he spoke. "No," he said, a little sullenly, but stoutly. "I'm not sorry, and it wasn't folly at all. It was simply glorious." "What?" cried the Badger. Didn't you tell me just now? In there. Oh, yes, yes, in there, said Toad. I'd have said anything in there. You're so eloquent, dear Badger. So moving, so convincing. But I've been searching my mind since, and I find I'm not a bit sorry, really. So it's no earthly good saying I am. Now, is it? Then you don't promise, said the Badger, never to touch a motor car again? Certainly not, said Toad. On the contrary, I faithfully promise that the very first motor car I see, poop poop, off I go in it. The Rat looked at the Mole. Told you so, didn't I? Very well then, said the Badger, rising. Since you won't listen to reason, we'll try what patience can do. You've often asked us to come and stay in this handsome house of yours, Toad. Well, now we're going to, until you are yourself again. Take him upstairs, you two, and lock him in his bedroom, while we arrange matters between ourselves. It's for your own good, Toady, you know, said the Rat kindly, as Toad was helped, protesting, up the wide staircase. Think what fun we shall all have together, just as we used to, when this painful attack of yours has passed. We'll take great care of everything for you till you're well, Toad, said the Mole. And the key turned softly in the lock, and the three friends went back down the stairs. It's going to be a tedious business, sighed the Badger. I've never seen Toad so determined. However, we will see it out. He must never be left unguarded. We shall take it in turns to sit with him until the poison has worked itself out of his system. And so they arranged their watches. Each animal took it in turn to sleep in Toad's room at night, and they divided the days between them. And the summer went on, slow and golden, around the old house. Mornings came and warmed into afternoons, and afternoons cooled into long blue evenings. And the house settled and creaked and slept. At first, Toad was very trying indeed. When his wild fits came upon him, he would arrange the bedroom chairs into the rough shape of a motor car and crouch upon the foremost of them, leaning forward, staring fixedly ahead, making strange noises, until he tumbled head over heels among the cushions and lay there, quite satisfied for the moment. But as the days drifted by, these fits grew rarer and quieter, and Toad seemed to grow drowsy and thoughtful and still. His friends tried to interest him in other things, but Toad only lay in his bed, gazing at the ceiling, apparently sunk in the deepest calm. But the Badger was not entirely at ease. One fine morning, as the Rat came up to take his turn on duty, the Badger met him outside the door, stretching and yawning and longing for a ramble round his wood. Toad's still in bed, he said. Can't get much out of him. Now you look out, Rat. When Toad's quiet and submissive, playing at being the model of good behavior, then he's at his artfulest. There's sure to be something up. I know him. Well, I must be off. How are you today, old chap? Asked the Rat cheerfully, coming to the bedside. He had to wait some minutes for an answer. At last, a feeble voice replied, Thank you so much, dear Ratty. So good of you to inquire. But first tell me how you are yourself, and the excellent Mole. Oh, we're all right, said the Rat. Mole, he added without quite thinking, is going out for a run with Badger. They'll be out till luncheon time, so you and I will spend a pleasant morning together. Now jump up, there's a good fellow. Don't lie moping there on a fine morning like this. Dear kind Rat, murmured Toad, how little you realize my condition, and how very far I am from jumping up now, if ever. But do not trouble about me. I hate being a burden to my friends, and I do not expect to be one much longer. Well, I hope not too, said the Rat heartily. You've been a fine bother to us all this time, and the boating season just beginning too. It isn't the trouble we mind, but you're making us miss such a lot. I'm afraid it is the trouble you mind, sighed Toad, more faintly still. I can quite understand it. You're tired of bothering about me. I mustn't ask you for anything further. I'm a nuisance. I know. You are indeed, said the rat. But I tell you, I'd take any trouble on earth for you, if only you'd be a sensible animal. If I thought that ratty, murmured Toad, his voice growing fainter and fainter, then I would beg you, for the last time probably, to step round to the village as quickly as possible and fetch the doctor. But don't you bother. It's only a trouble, and perhaps we may as well let things take their course. Why, what do you want a doctor for? Asked the rat, coming closer. And indeed, Toad lay very still and flat, and his voice was weak, and his manner much changed. And while you are about it, Toad went on with a sad smile, I hate to give you additional trouble, but would you mind asking the lawyer to step up as well? There are moments, perhaps I should say there is a moment, when one must face disagreeable tasks, whatever the cost, to exhausted nature. A lawyer! Oh, he must be really bad, said the frightened rat to himself as he hurried from the room, though he did not forget, even so, to lock the door carefully behind him. Outside, he stopped to think. The other two were far away, and there was no one to ask. It's best to be on the safe side, he decided. I've known Toad fancy himself frightfully ill before, without the slightest reason, but I've never heard him ask for a lawyer. I'd better humor him and go. And off he ran to the village, on his errand of mercy. Now the Toad, who had hopped lightly out of bed the moment he heard the key turn in the lock, stood at the window, watching the rat hurry away down the carriage drive. And when the rat was quite out of sight, Toad laughed softly to himself. He dressed quickly in the smartest suit he could find, filled his pockets with money from the little drawer in the dressing table, and then, knotting his bed sheets together, end to end, he tied one end round the old stone mullion of his window, climbed out into the summer air, and slid, gently, lightly, down to the ground. And taking the opposite direction from the rat, he strolled off across the fields, whistling a merry tune, as pleased with himself as any animal has ever been. It was a gloomy luncheon for the rat when the badger and the mole came home at last, and the story had to be told. We shall pass over what the badger said. It was painful for the rat, and it need not trouble us here. He did it awfully well, said the poor rat, quite crestfallen. He did you awfully well, said the badger. However, talking won't mend matters. He's got clear away for the time, that's certain. One comfort is, we needn't stand guard any longer, but we'd better continue to sleep at Toad Hall a while yet. Toad may be brought back at any moment. So spoke the badger, not knowing what the future held, nor how much water would flow under the bridges, before Toad should sit at ease again, in his ancestral hall. Meanwhile, Toad, gay and irresponsible, was walking briskly along the high road, some miles from home. At first he had kept to bypaths and crossed many fields, but now feeling quite safe, with the sun smiling down on him, and all nature seeming to nod along with the song of praise his own heart was singing, he almost danced along the road in his satisfaction and conceit. Smart piece of work that, he chuckled to himself. Brain against brute force, and brain came out on top, as it's bound to do. Poor old Ratty, a worthy fellow, but very little intelligence. I must take him in hand some day. Full of such comfortable thoughts, he strode along, his head in the air, until he came to a little town, where the sign of the Red Lion swung gently over the main street, and reminded him that he had not breakfasted that day and that he was exceedingly hungry after his long walk. So he marched into the inn, ordered the very best luncheon that could be managed at short notice, and sat down to eat it in the coffee room, where the clock ticked slowly on the wall and dust drifted in the long bars of sunlight. He was about halfway through his meal when a sound came drifting down the street, a familiar sound, a sound that made him start and tremble all over. Poop, poop. The motor car drew nearer and nearer, turned into the inn yard, and came to a stop. And presently its passengers came into the coffee room, hungry and talkative and gay, full of the pleasures of their morning drive. Toad listened, all ears, and at last he could bear it no longer. He slipped quietly out of the room, paid his bill at the bar, and sauntered round, quite casually, one to the inn yard. "There cannot be any harm," he said to himself, "in my only just looking at it." The car stood in the middle of the yard, quite unattended, for the stable helps were all at their dinner. It gleamed softly in the midday sun. Toad walked slowly round it, inspecting, criticizing, musing deeply. "I wonder," he said to himself presently, "I wonder if this sort of car starts easily." And the next moment, hardly knowing how it came about, he found he had taken hold of the handle and was turning it, and as the familiar sound broke forth, the old passion seized upon Toad and mastered him completely. As if in a dream, he found himself in the driver's seat. As if in a dream, he swung the car out through the archway, and as if in a dream, all thought of consequences faded quite away. The car glided down the street and leapt out onto the open road, and the miles began to slip beneath him. He knew not where he was going, and he did not care. He was Toad once more. Toad at his best and highest. Toad the traffic queller, the lord of the lone trail. And the hedges streamed past like a green river, and the wind sang about his ears, and on he flew, living his hour, reckless of everything. But every dream of that kind must end, friend, as all days end. And this one ended, as perhaps you have guessed, in a quiet, dusty courtroom in a country town, where the sunlight slanted through tall windows, and the magistrates spoke in long, unhurried sentences. They spoke of the motor car, and of the driving, and of a certain amount of impertinence to the rural police, and the clerk scratched his nose with his pen and added up figures in his slow, careful way. 12 months for this, 3 years for that, and a good deal more for the cheek, which by all accounts had been very fine cheek indeed. And when the figures were all added together and rounded off to be on the safe side, they came to 20 years. "And mind," said the chairman, not unkindly, "if you appear before us again, we shall have to deal with you very seriously." And so Toad was led away, across the market square, where the townsfolk paused to watch him pass, over a hollow-sounding old drawbridge, beneath a spiky portcullis, under the frowning archway of a grim and ancient castle, whose towers soared high, high overhead into the summer sky. They led him past guard-rooms and drowsy sentries, up time-worn winding stairs, past men-at-arms in dim corridors, across quiet courtyards, past ancient warders dozing over a pasty and a flagon of brown ale, their halberds leant against the sunny wall, on, deeper and higher and further, until at last they reached the door of the oldest, remotest chamber in the heart of the innermost keep. There an ancient jailer sat, fingering a great ring of mighty keys. "Rouse thee, old friend," said the sergeant, taking off his helmet and wiping his forehead. "Take over from us this Toad, a criminal of deepest guilt and matchless artfulness and resource. Watch and ward him with all thy skill, The old jailer nodded and laid his withered hand gently on Toad's shoulder. The rusty key creaked in the lock. The great door swung to behind them, and Toad was a prisoner in the remotest dungeon of the best-guarded keep of the stoutest castle, in all the length and breadth of merry England. And there we might leave him, friend, but let us stay just a moment longer, for the day is fading now. Far away beyond the castle walls, the sun is going down over the fields Toad walked that morning. The high road lies empty and quiet. The Red Lion has lit its lamps, and in the inn yard the shadows lengthen and grow cool. At Toad Hall, the badger and the rat and the mole sit together on the terrace in the last of the light, saying little, as old friends do, while the river slides past at the bottom of the garden, carrying the day away with it, slowly, surely down to the sea, and high in the ancient castle, in the deep stillness of the keep, Toad lies upon his narrow bed. The stone walls hold the coolness of centuries, and the small barred window holds a square of deepening blue. One star comes out, and then another. The old jailer makes his slow rounds far below, his footsteps echoing, fainter and fainter. And Toad, worn out by the fullest and most exciting day of his life, feels his eyelids growing heavy. The great castle settles around him like a sleeping animal. The night watchman calls somewhere far away that all is well, and all is well, for every story finds its way home in the end, friend. And Toad's story, too, will find its way home. But that is a tale for another night. The moon rises now over the castle towers, and over the little town, and over the long white road. It silvers the river where it runs past Toad Hall, where three good friends have gone in at last to their beds. It shines on the willows and the reeds, and the sleeping meadows. The whole world is breathing slowly now, in and out, like the river moving, like the leaves stirring. And you too are breathing slowly, your body heavy and warm, your thoughts loosening, drifting apart like slow clouds in a night sky. Let it all go now, friend. The road, the river, the old gray castle, they will keep till morning. Everything will keep till morning. You are safe and warm, and the night is deep and kind. Sleep now. Sleep now. Good night, friend. Good night.